ओम सर्वधर्मस्थापकस्त्वं सर्वधर्मस्वरूपकः आचार्याणां महाचार्यो रामकृष्णाय ते नमः. Yesterday we completed in a way our reading of Sri Ramakrishna the Great Master's third part, or as the spiritual teacher first part. But before we take up the reading of the next part, one point which I mentioned yesterday requires a lot of elaboration. Some people have asked me also about it. So we'll discuss that and then come to the second part. I mentioned toward the end of yesterday's class that there is something called negative realism. What is that? I will illustrate with a story contained in a poem. The poem is by William Wordsworth, and the name of the poem is We Are Seven. Do you know that? No. It contains a story about a small child and a wayfarer, traveler. So a wayfarer or a traveler, while walking, gets tired and sits below a tree. He finds a small child is playing there. So he falls talking with him. And he asks him how many brothers you are. He said, we are seven. Will you tell me about them? He said, yes. The eldest is in the fields with my father, working. Number two was in the military. He died in a war and is buried there in the battleground itself. Number three and four, perhaps. Yes, three and four are in the school. I am the fifth. And I'm not yet going to the school. There was a sixth also, but he died as an infant and is buried here itself below this tree. Seventh is too young, too small. He is on the mother's lap sucking her milk. So hearing this, the wayfarer says, then you are five. No, we are seven. And again he repeats, the eldest is with father, number two died in war and is buried there, and three and four are in school, I am fifth. Six died as an infant, is buried here. Seventh is on the lap of my mother. Again the wayfarer said, then you are five. No, we are seven. And again he narrated. So what does this mean? It means that because he is a small child, he is telling truth. We grown-up people feel something within and talk something outside. And yesterday I mentioned one point. When we say, my father is dead, there are linguistic psychologists. And they say, do you know what it implies? It implies that my dead father is. My father is dead implies my dead father is. And that is what the small child was telling. We are seven. So, always it will say my father. As soon as you say my father, you are referring to somebody. So they exist in our mind. Now, we bring it to the Vedanta. The so-called Shankarites, I will again and again repeat, in which category Dotapuri probably was there, go on repeating endlessly that the world is unreal, it is Maya, Maya is unreal, Maya is a delusion. Then why they ask? You will find them discussing in their books, in philosophical books, and discussing also whether the Maya lives in Brahman or it lives in Jiva. Why do you talk about Maya? Why do you understand Maya? So, this world is unreal, unreal world is. That is called negative realism. You are not feeling it positive existence, but there is an existence in your mind. Otherwise, you would not have searched for the location of Maya. I will tell you something from my life, just an ordinary illustration. I went to a devotee's house in Jind, in Haryana. One in the drawing room, in a corner, there was a tub with a plastic plant, green, and on that, a green snake-shaped rubber was there. As soon as I entered and sat, the children of the house took that and threw it on my body. Now, for a moment, I was afraid, or you might say I was surprised, afraid. And then the children started laughing, and one of them held that snake in his hand. Then I also held. Now, it is a false snake, but false snake also has created fear because of the suddenness or whatever. Now you hold that rubber, and this rubber appeared as the snake. Now that snake will never come to make you afraid. You understand this point? So, Shankaracharya referred to as some book. Yesterday I did not discuss elaborately. In his commentary to the second mantra of the Mandakya, let us remember the first two mantras of Mandakya Upanishad. In the first mantra it is said, Om iti etad aksharam idam sarvam. Om, the syllable or the sound, is all this. Though sentence is one, to get the meaning we require two sentences. The world is unreal. And there is a reality at the back. That is the meaning. That the whole world is Om means, we explained that in different contexts. The whole world is Om means that the world as it appears is unreal. It appears real because there is a reality at the back. Now, second mantra. There is some part of the first mantra, we are not concerned with that. And then second mantra. Brahma eva idam sarvam. Idam sarvam, same. That idam sarvam which was called Om is now called as Brahman. Brahman itself, Brahma eva. Idam sarvam. So, there Shankaracharya says that if only one side was told, the truth is not complete. Unless we feel the other side, as it appears, rupas, forms, and the world consists of names and forms. No. Brahman appears as the world through names and forms. That is the correct description. First we see the world, analyze. We find it consists of names and forms only. Forms are ever changing. They appear to be separately real because some name is given to them. So they are unreal. Why do they appear real? Because there is a Brahman at the back. Now, is that the whole truth? That Brahman is the whole world. You may add the word if you like, that Brahman appears as the whole world. That Brahman has created the whole world. Janmadhyasya yata. Now, when you feel this, then the world is really unreal. So long as you are going on telling world is unreal, world is unreal, or it is Maya, or it is delusion, what do you mean? Vedanta, as understood today, has two different impressions on it. One is the impression of the Sankhya, the other is the impression of Buddhas. Swami Vivekananda has explained this clearly in Jnana Yoga. The Buddhist held world to be a delusion, illusion of our own mind. That is not so. Please understand this very clearly. Maybe unreal, but Brahman has created that unreal world, not we. We have no power enough to superimpose something on Brahman. From our own mind we are superimposing. We find it is superimposed already. So long as we have not seen that Brahman, we take what appears to us as real. On analysis, we find it is not real. But in our daily experience, it is real. Why? Brahman has created it. Neither we have created, nor some devil or Satan came to create it. Remember, the creator of this unreal world, if you like to say, is Brahman. Yato va imani bhutani jayante ena jatani jivanti yat prayanta abhisamishanti tad Brahma tad vijigyasasva tad Brahma. So, the full truth is Brahman is transcendent, immanent reality. My Guruji used to say, put a hyphen, transcendent hyphen. Don't say and even. They are not two separate things. And we discussed this. Ishopnishad, Paribhu, Swayambhu. So, unless this goes into our heart, we are away from the truth. So, I hope I have been able to explain as much as possible this negative realism. It is so real in the minds of so-called Vedantis that they ask from where Maya has come. I will tell you a funny experience. I was in Rishikesh, 78, 79, long back. And I used to go to Kailash Ashram for taking classes. Once I went, two young sannyasis were discussing whether Brahman, Maya lives in Brahman or in Jiva. And as I entered, they shot a question on me. Maharaj, tell us whether Brahman lives in, Maya lives in Brahman or in Jiva. Where does Maya live? I said, Maya lives in this question of yours. This question itself is Maya, or Maya lives in this question itself. You are assuming Maya to be something. You are assuming that it has to live somewhere. And then you are asking me this question. And they both laughed. They understood immediately. So, the so-called Vedantis, the so-called traditional Vedantis, most of them, not all. I remember one old acquaintance, the Kothari of a ashram in Haridwar. He was living in our kutia in those days, 78, 79, for 1 month. Indra Swami was his name. He told that his guru has taught him that Brahman should be called Shaktiman. We find this expression in Acharya everywhere. Sarva Shakti. He asked his guru, then what should we call Shakti? He told him, we should call Shakti as Brahma Sarupini. Shakti is Brahma Sarupini. Brahman is Shaktiman. And that we found in the discussion between Tota and Thakur. Shakti subdued, Shakti subdued. And then he had to realize what is Shakti? Brahman appears as through names and forms. This is called Shakti. Brahman appears through names and forms. This power of appearance is called Shakti. Due to that Shakti, Brahman appears as name and form. But they are not real. So Brahman is Nirguna all the time and also Sagun. Enough clear? Anything in the mind? Ask me at this point. Important point is there. You will not hear this everywhere. So this is what my Guruji taught me. Negate your realism. We are 7. Through that small child's expression we understood, we hide our feelings. In our mind, fathers and mothers, and they are all living somewhere. In heaven, Vaikunthavasi, Kailasavasi, Brahmalin. So, are they dead then? So I come back to my original statement that the psychologists tell us that my father is dead means my dead father is. That is negative realism. Now we come to the second part of Sri Ramakrishna as the spiritual teacher. And we read first Saradananda Swamiji's preface. This is the fourth part of Sri Ramakrishna, the Great Master. We know that this is a modified translation. When it was incorporated in the book, it was the fourth part. The writing in Bengali, it is Guru Bhaver Uttarartha Prakashit Hoilo. The second half of Guru Bhav is published. This is the fourth part of Sri Ramakrishna, the Great Master, and is the second half of as the spiritual teacher. Acquainted so far with the middle part of the life of Sri Ramakrishna. So in that, what is the description? His sadhana kal, before he became famous before the people. So, acquainted so far with the middle part of the life of Sri Ramakrishna, the reader may ask, why we have adopted an unchronological method? And why the story of the perfected state of the Master's life has been told before the events of his life from his birth to the time of his sadhana? To the time of his sadhana. So this contains from the sadhana itself. We reply, okay. Now, Siddhavastha, in the second chapter we discussed. Third chapter, second chapter, Mahamukh, Nirvikalpa Samadhi, all that we have discussed. Though the events are from sadhana period. So why such thing? Now just think in mind, what would have happened? We read today, Sri Ramakrishna Leelaprasanga in 5 parts. But why Saradananda Swamiji did not write that? Why we are not taking class like that? There are 2-3 views on Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna is incarnation of God. Nobody doubts that. But Shudiram his father had a dream, I will be born in your house as your son. His mother had a vision that Shiva has entered, Jyoti from Shiva temple has entered her womb. So through something miraculous, something not experienced in the world ordinary, you have to judge Sri Ramakrishna. One type of judgment. Second type is a peculiar magnification. You have heard that enough? In South, I used to hear that too much. The great world-shaking Swami Vivekananda, his guru was Sri Ramakrishna. Is that Sri Ramakrishna's designation? Magnification. This is called magnification. Now I read about Tota and Bhairavi. Was Sri Ramakrishna the guru of Vivekananda in the same way as Tota was Sri Ramakrishna's guru? Or Bhairavi was Sri Ramakrishna's guru? Absolutely not. We have seen that. Saradananda Swamiji in several places, in the preface also we had read that Sri Ramakrishna Padashrita Narendranath Swami Vivekananda Pujapat. Sri Ramakrishna Padashrita Pujapat Swami Vivekananda. That is the relation. Sri Ramakrishna molded the entire personality of Narendra. So that is a magnification. What Saradananda Swamiji wants, the personality of Sri Ramakrishna. And that is why he has discussed at great length this bhava. So that is the personality of Shiva. Let us see what Saradananda Swami has to say. Firstly, we had no previous plan of writing the life of this extraordinary personage. He did not plan to write a biography. We were not bold enough to cherish the high hope that it was ever possible for puny creatures like ourselves to write properly the story of his highly Catholic life. Catholic was seen as student abroad. It was by force of circumstances that we intended to set our hand to it and tell the readers of the Udbodhan a few events of the life of Sri Ramakrishna. That force of circumstance was what? That he wanted a building for Holy Mother to live in, and also a publication department for the Bengali books of the Ramakrishna order. And so he took a personal loan for that building. Now, how to repay that personal loan? He said, I will write about Sri Ramakrishna in the magazine Udbodhan. That will increase the circulation of Udbodhan. And that profit money I will use to repay my debt. Now, fun or anything, I will say, it has much more than repaid. A whole big building has come in front of the old Udbodhan by Leelaprasanga money, mainly. Of course, Swamiji's books money also. So that was the circumstance. And I told you in the beginning that some people were criticizing this is an ulterior motive. My Guruji was a college student in those days. He went straight to Saradananda and asked. He knew Saradananda to be a Nirvikalpa Samadhiman Brahmagya Purush. So he went straight to him and asked, Maharaj, why are you writing this Leela Prasanga? And he told him, so that all the sadhakas of all the denominations in the world could see light in their path. That is the purpose for which I am writing. So, that is called Leela. Something outside, but this is the real thing. But as a fact he is mentioning, why he wrote about Sri Ramakrishna? He could have written anything in Udbodhan. So, that he mentions in the second para. It was by force. Now here about Udbodhan, there is a footnote. I would like to change one word in that. A Bengali monthly published by the Ramakrishna Mission from one Udbodhan Lane, Bagbazar, Calcutta, in which the whole of this book was published as articles. I would say the whole of this book was published serially before it came out in the form of a book. A few events of the life of Sri Ramakrishna, that was in the beginning. Few episodes I called it, Leelaprasanga. A few events of the life of Ramakrishna, Sri Ramakrishna. We did not then know that we would have to proceed so far. We would have to proceed. That means this is all a divine ordinance, not by will of a man. Few events will write. We went on writing. So far, up to means Guruva Purvarda Uttara. Preface is written after the book is completed. It is therefore no wonder that later events came to be described before the earlier ones. Now, bring the real reason. Secondly, many tried before us, to record the wonderful events of the life of Sri Ramakrishna. A funny thing I will tell. Hearing this word record, people say, is it available? Record means noting down. Many tried before us to record the wonderful events of the life of Sri Ramakrishna and the story of his extraordinary sadhana. Many have tried. Although those records are seen to contain a few errors in the... No, this is translation has gone. As if he is defending those books. Few errors. स्थले स्थले ब्रह्म प्रमाद परिलक्षित होइले हो. स्थले स्थले is not few. You know Vipsa, twice it is said स्थले स्थले. That means in many places. Although those records are seen to contain many errors, in some places, in many places, those records are seen to contain errors in many places. Brahma Pramad Purna. Errors and delusory statements. Almost all the events of the Master's life on the whole have been published through them. So events have been published. Instead of wasting our energy in recording the same facts over again, we thought it reasonable to explain to the reader the Master's extraordinary divine ideas and ideas. What he stands for. That we thought to be represented, not the events. Events he has brought as the expression of those ideas, which were not explained before. Nobody has explained them before. Nobody. If one does not understand what is meant by his being established in Bhavama or by the natural manifestation in him of the mood of the Guru, one cannot at all understand his wonderful character. Uncommon actions and unique ideas and ideals. Ideas and ideals unique, actions uncommon, character wonderful. One cannot understand this through external events only, unless we understand what is the meaning of established in Bhavama or Guru Bhav natural in him. So these are the 2 points of his reply. Why this first? Now there is a third point. Some will perhaps raise an objection and say, but in setting about to explain in different places of your book the Master's particular ideas and actions, you have tried to describe them to the reader in the way you yourself have understood them. Consequently, your own intelligence and discrimination have been made the standard of his incomprehensible character and ideas. Have you not lowered him in the estimation of people by thus admitting indirectly that your intelligence and discrimination can comprehend the incomprehensible Master? Would it not have been better if, instead of doing so, you had stopped after accurately recording the facts? In that case, the record would not have lowered the Master in anyone's esteem, and people could have understood the meaning of it, its ideas and actions in their own way. He has clearly said there that the West likes description of events. The East likes description of the mind, India. And we are convinced that the life of a man is body and mind. And the mind is made as the mind is expressed through the physical actions, so physical actions should be described as expressing the mind. This he has explained there. But the objection is there. I remember some great revered Swami writing on Swami Vivekananda says that I am not like to analyze, I presented the facts. Now please understand the word fact. There are two different words, truth and fact. You have heard these two words? Are they synonymous? No. Truth is truth, irrespective of anything. Fact, I would say fact is a short form. When we utter the word fact, what we mean? Fact of my experience, is it not? How do you say this is a fact? Because you have experienced that. Or you have heard somebody's experience and you believe that. So fact always means fact of one's experience. And experiences are subjective. As your mind, so you experience. Now I'll tell you about one extremely opposite direction book on Sri Ramakrishna. Mahapurush Maharaj's disciple Dhan Gopal Mukherjee, he had settled in America. He has written a book on Sri Ramakrishna. People should read as much as possible about Sri Ramakrishna. You do know what is the name of that book? Face of Silence. It was this book which Romarola read first and became attracted. Now in that preface, Dhan Gopal writes, I am not concerned with facts straight away. I am writing out the legends and myths of Sri Ramakrishna. Because that is how he has impressed people. So I want to describe him. Not that he is against facts, but he does not claim. Myths and legends about Sri Ramakrishna, I am right. Now Saradananda Swami has combined both. We have seen his objectivity. So, about this question, Saradananda Swami says, this is a statement which is plausible, but contains no substance. That why I have written like that. You have made your intelligence more than Thakur. That beautiful word has not come in English. In translation, this is a statement which is plausible but contains no substance. Bengali, কথাগুলি আপাত মনোহর হইলেও অল্প চিন্তার ফলে উহাদের অন্তঃসার শূন্যতা প্রতীয়মান। বাপরে, very strong language. আপাত মনোহর, on the surface attractive. This statement which should describe fact is on the surface attractive. Though they are like that. Alpa chintar phale, little thinking if you apply. Antasara shunyata pratyamana vive, you will find there is no substance inside. Hollow inside, no substance inside. Why? He has made this statement and then he explains. For man has been taking and will ever take the help of his senses, mind and intellect in understanding and comprehending all matters. Say, fact as experienced by me. And how I experience? Senses, mind and intellect in understanding and comprehending all matters. He has no alternative. But that this does not prove that his mind, intellect, etc. are greater than the object they try to comprehend. Although man knows that time, space, universe, self, God, and other unlimited entities are beyond mind and intellect, he has always been trying to grasp and understand them through these faculties. But we do not consider this effort to understand all that to be wrong or to be a limitation. This endeavor will broaden his mind and intellect and do him immense good. That is why I told, as we handle and do this, our mind rises. Therefore, if we study in this way the extraordinary ideas and actions of great personages, we are ourselves benefited, and they are by no means limited or dwarfed. Dwarf means made short. You know similar expressions? Mahimna Sotra. He says, if it is a defect to describe something which is indescribable, then even Vedas have not described other than only Neti Neti. But we find that everybody describes. So I have taken up this description to purify my mind, purify my language, purify my tongue. So that is the effect of this description. In the end, Pushpadanta said, Tava tattvam na janami kidrishosi maheshwar. Yadrishosi mahadeva tadrishaya namo namah. In accordance with the degree, now it is, in accordance with the degree of purity and power of penetration of their minds and intellects produced by sadhana, people can more or less understand and explain the divine ideas and actions of those great souls. A person with greater spiritual sadhana will be able to understand the character of Sri Ramakrishna more deeply than we. There is therefore nothing wrong in applying our minds and intellect to the understanding of that divine character. It will be sufficient. One point is mentioning, it will be sufficient if we guard ourselves against one mistake, namely the notion that we have fathomed the whole depth of the Master's character. It is infinite. As much as Saradananda Swami being a Rishi, so as much as we have grasped, I am describing. If you are more sadhana than me, you will grasp more. So when I know this, then no defect will come. All possibility of vain doubts should thus be guarded against if only we can keep this fact constantly before our mind. It is heard that after finishing Leelaprasanga, Saradananda Swami said, I thought I will explain in depth. Now I find I only touched the leaves and small and twigs of the tree. I have never gone up to the root. That is what he said. So unfathomable, I accept. But he is a Brahmagya Rishi, we should understand. So his ideas will not be wrong. One can understand deeper if one's sadhana is stronger. But he will not be led astray by sadhana, which is Brahma Pramad Purna in other books. Okay? So we enter inside. There is a shloka as usual. Contents are there, na? Oh, we have to read the name of the chapter first, then it comes. Huh? Chapter 1, Vaishnav Charan and Gauri. About Gauri again I have to tell. What is his name we do not know? Gauri Kumar, Gauri Prasad. Gauri Pandit Thakur used to call him. Vaishnav Charan is a full name at least. So there were two scholars who had done a lot of sadhana. They could understand Thakur as incarnation, and Thakur said they progressed in their life. So their description comes first. And the shloka, Ye me matamidam nityam anutishtanti manava shraddhavanto na suyanto muchyante tepi karmabhi. It is about, in the third chapter, that this doctrine of mine, if you follow without jealousy and with shraddha, you will also become free. So it is about this description of Thakur's Leela with Vaishnava Charan and Gauri. If we read it through Shraddha, we will also become free. That is the meaning. and as they accepted, Vaishnacharya and Guru. First para, the ignorance of the people of Calcutta about the master's relation as the spiritual teacher to the holy men and aspirants who came to Dakshina. How people in Calcutta came to know about Thakur? Through Keshav Chandra Sen. And then they started going to Thakur, the young Bengal. So other people think only young Bengal Thakur taught. Thakur in the minds of modern man is Vivekananda's Guru. So these young educated boys Thakur taught. They do not know what was Thakur's relation with so many sampradayas, so many sadhus coming to him. So that he wants to tell. It is the general impression of the public of Calcutta. Calcutta means India, educated, modern educated young men of India. And that is the general impression. Vivekananda's Guru. That the master transmitted spirituality or deepened it in Keshav Chandra Sen is not known throughout India, but Calcutta people at least. We know Vivekananda only. Keshav Chandra Sen and a few other modern-minded Hindus who were educated in the English manner and were imbued with the Western ideas and ideals. But most people of this city are ignorant of the fact that long before they knew of the master's residence at Dakshineshwar, eminent holy persons, sadhakas and pandits, well versed in the Shastras, had come to the master from all parts of Bengal and northern India. South people had not gone to northern India. No, some 1 or 2 persons I am remembering. There was a great journalist, Nihal Singh, and his mother had taken this small boy to Dakshineshwar and presented before Thakur, and Thakur had blessed him. But that is also North India. Sohrab Modi, the filmmaker from Mumbai, but that was after Thakur. He went to Holy Mother. But from South we have not heard anybody. To Thakur. Hirachand was from Sindh, again North India. Vivekananda went to South and then people came to him. From all parts of Bengal and northern India and having their languid religious life vivified, that means slowly they were moving the religious life languid, but vivified, made powerful by the master's power as the spiritual teacher and his blazing, burning religious ideal. That means he taught and he showed. Had gone away to impart that new power and ideal to many persons elsewhere. Now the Totapuri goes back. So he will not teach now people that Maya is a delusion. He has got the correct ideas from Thakur. That he will teach now. So that is an important point. Whoever came to Thakur got their fulfillment, and when they go back, they will teach their students, disciples better. Bees come of themselves when flowers blossom. Fitness for imparting religion is necessary. Preaching is otherwise vain. Two different points are there. Now Shankaracharya traveled throughout India. Swami Vivekananda traveled throughout half world. Sri Ramakrishna did not go anywhere. Bees come when the lotus flower blooms. Bees come. He does not have to advertise. Bees know. So that was Thakur's method. And second is, you must have something to give to people. Fitness for imparting religion is necessary. Preaching is otherwise way. The master used to say, as soon as flowers blossom, bees come of themselves. They need not be invited. When love for and devotion to God become truly manifested in you, all those who have sacrificed their lives or have resolved to do so in quest of God, in other words, for the attainment of truth, cannot but come to you. If they have given up everything for God, they will come to you. Under the influence of an inexplicable spiritual law. So it was indeed the master's opinion that one should first of all realize God and have his vision and grace. Thus, armed with the power of working for the real good of humanity, one should have his command before proceeding to preach religion or work for the good of the many. Otherwise, as the master said, who will accept your words? Why should people in general accept or give ear to what you ask them to do? Thakur has given an example of this. That near some place, some people used to make order, and people requesting them, they did not agree. But from the municipality, a notice was stuck there by order. Nobody should. Then people stopped doing it. So that is called chapras. All are equally blind in respect to spiritual matters. We are all in truth sailing in the same boat. Though puffed up with pride, we may consider ourselves superior to others, living all the while in this vain world with its round of birth, dotage, and death, and bristling with misery, poverty, and dark ignorance. Our miserable condition, that urge of the senses, that avarice, that greed, and that constant fear of death, describing the common defects of humanity. Urge of the senses, avarice, greed, and the constant fear of death. Continues forever the same. However much we may develop our machinery, make progress in the natural sciences, and know a few properties of some substances in the realm of Maya. The universal mother, capable of making the impossible possible, that is Maya. The universal mother, capable of making impossible possible. Agatana Gatana Patiyasi, that is the Sanskrit term. We are living in the same dismal, unbroken darkness of ignorance regarding problems. Who am I? Why am I here? Where shall I go? These we do not know. What is the aim of this game of mine? A game in which I attempt to know the truth with the help of those very five senses, mind and intellect, which themselves deceive me at every step and lead me ever astray. Indriyas, Mana, Buddhi lead me astray and I am depending upon them. I want to know the truth. So along with those imperfections, this another imperfection, limitation. Will ever a way to liberation out of its clutches be found? Everybody in this world lacks true knowledge and is ready to receive it. But who is to give it to him? If in this respect anybody has actually anything to give, let him give as much as he can. But deluded 100 times, man does not understand this, and urged by the desire for name and fame and sundry selfish motives, He hastens to give or fails to give what he does not possess. And like the blind leading the blind, both come to grief, the instructor and the instructed together. How the master preached religion. The master therefore moved along a path diametrically opposite to that of all others of the world. He lived in one place his whole life, calm and he went to pilgrimage, but most of it. He lived in one place the whole life, calm and tranquil and free from anxiety, and practiced to the fullest extent renunciation, detachment, self-control, etc. This we must look into the Bengali original. त्याग, वैराग्य, संयम आदि अभ्यास है. त्याग and vairagya. Vairagya is the mental mode. Tyaga is the outside effect. And converted himself thoroughly into an instrument in the hands of the Divine Mother. Having realized the integral truth and blazed the trail of work of real benefit to the world. Integral truth, again I doubt about it. কোথায় আছে এটা? In Bengali? Thoroughly, instrument in the hands of Divine Mother, having realized the integral truth. ત્યાં વૈરાગ્ય જગદંબા હસ્તે ટીક ટીક કેન્દ્ર સ્વરૂપ કર્યા પહેરેલેન એવं સત્ય વસ્તુ લાભ કર્યા સ્થિર નિશ્ચય હોઈયા એકೈ સ્થાને બસ્યા જીવન કટાયા યથાર્થ કાર્યાનુષ્ઠાન એક નૂતન તારા દેખાઈ દિલે. બસ એકટાઈ કથા છે સત્ય વસ્તુ લાભ કર્યા. Integral truth. No, I do not like this word integral. It is Vishishta Dvaitya idea, whole and part. Real truth, complete truth, absolute truth. Having realized the absolute truth and blazed the trail of work to it, he showed that having attained reality, the moment he opened the storehouses of his knowledge for distribution, people thirsting for knowledge began to pour in uninvited. Nobody knew whence, and purified by his divine look and touch, they considered themselves blessed, and spreading that new idea wherever they went became the source of blessing to others without number. Acharyanam Mahacharya. For wherever we are, we naturally give expression to the mass of ideas that exist within us. The master used to say in the simple language of a villager, one's belching smell of the things one has taken. Eat cucumber, your belchings will smell cucumber. Eat radish, they will smell radish. So whatever inside you speak, and that people will benefit. Om Sarvadharma Sthapakastam Sarvadharma Swarupakah Acharyanam Mahacharyo Ramakrishna Te Namaha. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.
Thank